It's Klayton, aka Celldweller, and I am here today in collaboration with Vintage King to talk about the Make Noise No Coast synth. So why is this called No Coast? Well, we need to do a little bit of a history lesson to understand that. In the 70s, there were two prominent synth makers in the US. One who was on the West Coast, who was Don Buchla, and one on the East Coast, who was Bob Moog. And their synthesizers had very different sounds to them. Don Buchla was a little more on the experimental side, and Bob Moog was based more in traditional music. So this term of East Coast versus West Coast kind of popped up, and it was similar to the rap battles in the 90s when you had the East versus the West, but there was way less shooting. Like way less. So Make Noise said, hey, let's just do the No Coast. The coast doesn't matter. You get this thing and make whatever you want with it. So there is a lot of power packed into this little guy. And I don't know if I've mentioned it, but this is a little guy. Form factor is very small, it's very portable, and it's really powerful, which is really awesome. The sound is very big to come out of something so small. You have control over this in various ways. They include an 1/8 to MIDI adapter, which is really handy to have if you want to use it with traditional MIDI, or you can go CV in. I am using my Keith McMillan Q Nexus to send CV in gate to appropriate parts of the No Coast to trigger envelopes and get sound moving and send pitch information. You've got a random step voltage here, which is kind of borrowed from the Woggle Bug, and I rarely do a patch ever where I don't use the Woggle Bug for something because I love it. And this is that random circuit there that will allow you to give your patch a little more dynamics and make it a little less sterile by sending a random voltage to different parameters. You've got a voltage processor here where if you don't plug anything in, you just get fully positive voltage or a fully negative voltage depending on where that is. Or if you put a voltage into here, this becomes an attenuator or an attenuverter. Here's an oscillator, and it's kind of borrowed from the DPO, and it definitely has that sound. You've got two fundamentals, a triangle, which is basically hardwired over here in your output, which I'll show you in a minute, and you've got a square wave if you want to get a little grittier. You have 1 volt per octave, so you can control the pitch. This section is really cool because you get into the processing, and you've got basically a wave folder here, and you've got an overtone circuit here, which adds some pretty cool textures to your sound. The slope over here has elements that are borrowed from the function or the math modules, and can basically act as an LFO if you throw it into LFO mode. If you cycle it, if you turn the cycle off, it will trigger if you send a trigger into it, which is what I'm doing. So every time I hit a note, it's firing that off. And this is hardwired to your wave shaper here, so based on these settings, it will modify and modulate your wave shaper. Your contour is basically your envelope, and when you fire a gate into it, it controls your volume. The contour circuit acts as an envelope. You've got your onset, which acts as an attack. You've got your sustain, which is fairly normal in an envelope. And they roll decay and release into one knob right here to simplify it. And then you've got logarithmic or exponential shapes here that you can change between. So here's with my decay all the way down. And as you turn the release, or the decay in this case, up, here's your onset. So you've got a single oscillator here, but your balance circuit takes the clean fundamentals from up here when it's all the way to the left, and you can blend that with the overtone circuit here, and you can get a balance. So if we take this out, your triangle wave is hardwired here. You got a nice clean triangle wave. And if you want something dirtier, you can just take the square out, go in here. Now you got a nice square. And if you go all the way over to the right, that's pure overtone and wave shape here. So you can get a blend, and you can also use a control voltage to change between those dynamically if you so desire. So I just dialed up a cool sound, and if I don't have my slope in cycle mode, it just plays on a keyboard as you would expect it to. And if I turn the cycle on, this will get the slope looping like an LFO, and you can get some pretty interesting stuff just doing that. You will also notice when I turn the cycle on, I have the end of cycle here triggering my input, so it is firing off a clock that is controlling the rate of my random stepped output here. And this is what it sounds like. And you've got logarithmic to exponential shapes here that you can change as well, and that will change the shape of this. You can get this bad boy up into audio rate if you want. Thanks for sticking all the way through this episode of Celldweller Production. If you want one of these bad boys, head over to Vintage King right now and get one. So there'll be lots more content like this on my channel, so subscribe to my channel or save this playlist. And until next time, this is Klayton, aka Celldweller, signing off.